Baruch atah asherah anat melacha ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivani lihidatif latzitzit. Good morning, Posty. You've been quite reliable this week. What are you up to today? Yeah. First here. I think you were the first here yesterday, too. What are your plans for the day? It's midnight here in Australia. I'm sure you told me that, but I didn't quite store it in my memory banks. Well, what were you up to today, then? Yesterday, I went to the fair, and I saw a lot of cows. Hi, Ramon. Nice to meet you. What is this live about? This live is a morning ritual. I do this almost every day. So we're starting with a little bit of vocal warm-up to get ready for the more elaborate prayers. So what we're going to do now is just make a tone. A high tone, a tone that's roughly equivalent to my speaking voice. And I'm going to try to hold it for as long and as evenly as possible. I'm a cantor. Not quite, although maybe one day. I would really love that. One day I would like to learn enough of the liturgy to actually perform a full service. That's a goal. You can say that. Yeah, so we'll take a deep breath in, and we'll exhale with a tone it's around the frequency, around the pitch of your speaking voice, or a little bit higher. Try to hold it for as long as you can. That's exercise I'll be doing. I will be failing. It won't sound as good as I would like, I promise you. But it'll sound good enough to perform in front of all of you. So, inhale. Good morning, Bacha. Good morning, Paige. So happy to see both of you. How are you doing? Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Vahafta את ענת אלוהיך, ובכל לבבך, ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודייך, וחיוך הדברים האלה, אשר נוחים מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. וחיה, כי ויחיה אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב, לתת לך עברים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית, ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר לא מילאת, וברות הצווים אשר לא הצעת, גרים וזיתים אשר לא נתת, והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יראי אשר תישאך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Good morning. What is this? What language is this? Well, these are quotes from the book of Deuteronomy. Yes, it's a prayer service of sorts. Although, like most things that I do, I would say that it is probably more participatory and chaotic, less formal than a traditional prayer service. We say old words, and we say old words because the old words request that we say them. So literally the translation of that prayer that you were just listening goes, you shall love Yahweh Elohim with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words, which I repeat to you today, which I am repeating to you today, repeat them to your children and recite them when you wake up and when you go to bed and when you are traveling and when you are at home. And you shall bind them as a symbol on your hand and let them serve as a sign on your forehead and inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Repeat these words. What do they mean? I don't know. They mean repeat me, right? So we take an old tradition that has persisted for thousands of years, and we say, how is it persisted? Why is it persisted? Well, it's persisted because at its very core it has a mimetic logic to it, right? What do you think, Adam? What do you think, Costa? Am I transgender? Have you figured it out? Can you spot the transsexual in the room? Very good. So, we repeat these words because they connect us with people long gone. Or I repeat these words because they connect me with a way of life and a way of being that is both here and not here. Right? I want to remind myself that I am part of a tree which is bigger than me, right? Part of a tradition which is far older than I am and which will last far beyond me. And if I can live my life participating in that tradition, then I can be more than myself. And so that's why I say these words with you. Hey, Rai. Shabbat Shalom. No, it wasn't Yiddish. Just plain old Hebrew. I don't speak Yiddish. My grandfather, before he died, he really liked to study Yiddish, right? Like, it's this lost language of a particular time and place that's no longer there, right? All the Jews were driven out of the traditional, the Pale of the settlement, right? So I don't know very much Yiddish, or Hebrew, for that matter. I'm learning very slowly. One of these days I will actually become fluent in Hebrew. Have that commitment to myself, but not now. Now I'm just a humble mycologist, toiling away at formatting bibliographic references so that I can move on to the next part of my life. Be the prayer, not the prey. Be the prey, not the prayer. Be the prey, not the prayer. Interesting restatement of that. Thank you, Batya. I appreciate that. Dr. Punk, what are you up to today? I imagine you will tell me that you're about to go to work. Because, actually it's Saturday, so you're probably not about to go to work. I don't actually respect weekends very much. I work all day. But I probably work less hard every day than any of you that have day jobs, because I don't have to commute very much. But, like, I do have to commute into work tomorrow, right? Like, I just don't have weekends the way the rest of you do. But that's okay. Thanks, Lady Legacy. I appreciate that. And how should I refer to you? Crystal Ball? You're on the struggle bus this morning. I'm sorry. Motivation is zero. You know, I still have a very difficult time getting up. Like, I don't know if you remember when you started watching this stream, but I would regularly streaming at like 7 o'clock in the morning, right? And then I got really depressed over the winter, and I'm not depressed now, but even then, like, I still wake up at dawn. But my motivation is significantly lower, and it takes me a good 2 hours of lying in bed and thinking before I have the not even motivation, because motivation is an emotional state. I think I have the motivation, just have the inertia, maybe, to start my day. But, you know, life changes, bodies change, people change, and circadian rhythms change. And I try not to beat myself up about it, right? I would like to be more productive, but, you know, I'm just not. And it's okay. It's partially your fault. I mean, I suppose it's healthy to take responsibility for mistakes that you make. But also, don't beat yourself up, you know. I can say these aphorisms, right? These bland things, knowing next to nothing about your life, other than that you have a goat named Rebecca, and that you live fairly close to me. But I do care, even if I lack context. Sorry you're having a hard time. I'm in energy-saving mode, lots of peaceful time. I suppose that's true, yeah. I will be in energy-saving mode for the next year, probably. I've got a lot of long, tedious tasks that I just have to have endurance through, and then maybe next year I'll be more energized and ecstatic. No, don't blame Paige. Paige is allowed to blame Paige, but we are not. We have to blame all of those evil people in her life that are causing her all sorts of distress, because that's, you know, emotionally nuanced and clearly the situation that's happening. I'm sure of it. It only took you 3 hours to get out of bed today. Big improvement. Well, good job, Rye. Right? Like, we all have our own standards and our own victories, our own defeats. God, it's so weird talking to you all. Like, I'm still not over it. Like, how do I possibly incorporate the emotional lives of all of you? Like, I can't, right? So I just have these wisps of stories. And you have wisps of mine. And yet somehow it works. Somehow we're all here. So, what should we do next? We should read this story. It's very confusing. Because I want to know all of you. Like, really, I do. But, like, also, I know what it's like to, like, actually know someone, right? Like, I share my life with 10 other people, and I know all of their neuroses, and I know all of their traumas, and I know all of their dreams, and I know all of their triggers, and I run into their triggers, and I trigger them, and they get upset with me, and then I get upset with them, and blah, 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 right? Like, there's actually something comforting about not knowing people very well, right? Because then you don't know the ways that you hurt them, or you don't have the capacity to hurt them, and you don't know the ways that they're hurting, and so you don't get hurt. We can connect and communicate with each other on a different level, because we don't have to share all the intimate details of our lives and show our ugliness, right? I don't show my ugliness to you. I just show what I find beautiful, right? Like, I make myself as beautiful as possible, and I come on here and I play this role for you as this, like, wise person who isn't actually very wise at all, who's just as flawed as the rest of you, muddling through it just like the rest of you. Here we are. Can someone explain if this person is a transgender? I think you're gonna need to figure it out for yourself. It's not that hard. So, we were reading this story, Atrahasis, right? And Atrahasis is an old version of the story of Noah from the book of Genesis, right? There's a flood, but unlike in the story of Noah, good morning, Jenny. Eating any good fish today? Do you have a drought in Texas? We've got, like, no rain here, but I imagine in the Gulf maybe you've got plenty of rain. So, drought here. Yes, the entire East Coast is in drought. It's It's not good. Thanks, Rai. That's really kind of you, right? Like that is a kind of kindness that, structurally, geometrically, I'm not actually capable of providing. Even though many people deserve that level of kindness, but right, I have to respond to comments like that as if they're heckles instead of like actual genuine curiosity, you know? Because my position entails a certain interpretive frame that I can't escape. And so it goes. Your family's in a fishing tournament today. That's exciting. Well, I hope you have a good dinner. Color your hair, shave, try some false eyelashes. I had a student last semester who was an eyelash tech, and she made a bunch of videos about how she applies false eyelashes onto other people's eyelashes. And I was so astonished. Like, I'd never thought about it. Right, like I put on mascara from time to time, but like false lashes, ooh, like because I'm constantly picking, constantly picking at my eyelashes. So even mascara is hard for me. I can't imagine like putting artificial hair on my face. Like I'm sure it would look nice, but yeah, certain makeup trade-offs I can and cannot make. So user, you didn't offend me. It's just as I was saying before, the way that I can communicate to you is different because of the platform that I am on. But I do appreciate your curiosity. Thank you, Sarah. So Atrahasis is Noah, right? The man who survives the flood. But there's a backstory to this flood story, which we don't see in Genesis, right? In Genesis, we just sort of have to accept that Yahweh's motivations are godly, and we don't need to understand them. But here, the motivations are oppression, right? There's two classes of gods. There's the Anunnaki and the Igigi. And the Anunnaki create the Igigi so that the Igigi can toil for them, and the Igigi carve out the river basins of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Carve them out. It takes them 3,600 years to carve these riverbeds. And once they've done this, they say, enough is enough. We want to control the means of production. We're going to rebel. And they surround Anu's house as an act of war. And where we left off, Anu's like, what should I do? All my brethren are surrounding me in an act of war. It's terrible. What do I do? They're going to burn this guy's home down. Yeah, it's really dreadful. Well, Beck, we can be friends in real life in the sense that this is real life, but probably a better way to characterize it would be that this is a parasocial friendship, right? And actually, I've been talking about that in this entire stream. And I think about it all the time. And what is a parasocial relationship? Parasocial relationship is one where you know a lot more about me than I know about you. And there's some benefits to a relationship like that, which is that it's very difficult for me to disappoint you. It is very difficult for you to disappoint me, right? So we can be parasocial friends, and that can be nice. We can appreciate it for what it is. Do you hear a chicken? Yes, you do, Reki. We have a very large flock of chickens. It lives outside my window. One of these days it's going to move, and then you won't hear chicken clucking. It's a point of contention in the community. Where do the chickens live? We cannot decide where they live because it's complicated and people's trauma is involved. You'd think that it's a simple thing, right? Where do you put the chickens? But actually, very complex. But luckily, the conflicts in the commune are not nearly so bad as the conflicts between the Anunnaki and the Igigi, right? Because they're going to burn this guy's house down. It's not very good. It's not responsible. But, you know, perhaps they're oppressed. Perhaps their violent actions are justified. I can't tell you. I don't know. Thank you, Russ. So, let's read. As Anu is declaring war on the Igigi who have declared war on him. Yeah, chickens can be very mean to one another. Pecking order and all that. We have too many roosters, Paige. Too many roosters. Far too many roosters, and the roosters always fight. And it makes me really sad. Like, it actually gives me dysphoria. Like, it reminds me of when I was a boy and, like, failing to engage properly in the male combat. Male competitions. I don't like seeing the roosters fight. Like, it viscerally Eat the roosters. I wish. God, I wish we could. But people's traumas are involved, and killing an animal is not a trivial thing. It should be, but it's not. Anyway, shouldn't dwell on this. Getting too personal. Let's read about the Anunnaki and the Igigi. Anu raised his voice to be heard, speaking to the chief Eliel. Then command Nusku to go, to divine the Igigi's purpose. Have him establish the will of those gathered at your door. A word from you and this whole thing could be cleared up, to find out for what reason they have gathered at your door. Eliel raised his voice to be heard, saying to his officer, Nusku, go first to open the door. Then pick up your weapons, and take your place before me. Then go out among the gods. First prostrate yourself, then rise up and speak to them thus. Your father Anu, supreme authority Eliel, Lord Nimrod, and the manager of your canals, Enugi, wish me to request, who is the one among you who is leader of this heated mob? Who is the one among you who is organizer of this uprising? Who among you has turned his face unto the arena of war? Who are you that have come here hastily to the door of Eliel? Thanks, lady. I appreciate you're here. So, Nusku went and opened the door, picked up his weapons, then took his place before Eliel in the presence of the gods. After prostrating himself, he rose and spoke to them thusly. Your father Anu, supreme authority of Eliel, Lord Nimrod, and the manager of your canals, Enugi, wish me to request. Who is the one among you who is leader of this heated mob? Who is the one among you who is organizer of this uprising? Who among you has turned his face unto the arena of war? Who are you that have come here hastily to the door of Eliel? Thus Nusku spoke to carry out the duty given to him by Eliel. Now Allah raised his voice to be heard, speaking to Nusku. Is this the Allah who came to Muhammad? Almost certainly not. But actually, almost certainly it is. Evolutionary gods. They change from one to the next. Geese are violent extremists. We had a goose that, trigger warning, raped his daughter to death a couple months ago. It was awful. It was really, really awful. Like, when you have livestock, you get dead stock. It's really not good. Why am I telling you these awful stories about our birds? Like, they're it's a source of stress. Now Allah raised his voice to be heard, speaking to Nusku. Every one of the gods is ready to come to blows over this, and we have thus stopped partaking in our endless digging. The burden is far too heavy for us, and it was diminishing us. The weight is very great, the work too tasking, a sore plight. And so each god sought to bring his discontent before Eliel. Nusku hefted up his weapons, turned, and came back to Eliel. My lord, I performed my mission to disclose the situation. I went to find an answer as to why your door is surrounded, having explicated the things you gave me charge to convey. Then, this is what response they gave me in reply. Then they said, every one of the gods is ready to come to blows over this, as we have thus stopped partaking in our endless digging. The burden is far too heavy for us, and it was diminishing us. The weight is very great, the work too tasking, a sore plight, and so each god sought to bring his discontent before Eliel. So, there you have it. In the beginning, the gods created a class system, and the class system was stable for 3,600 years until the gods got it into their bright minds. We don't have to just endlessly dig these riverbeds. We don't have to do it. We can rise up. We can cause a revolution. We can seize the means of production, right? These gods are not Marxist gods, right? But I do think that it is very interesting that in our oldest mythology, thank God classes are gone, right? In our oldest mythology, what we see here is class warfare, right? Like, human society has been stratified for as long as there have been human society. And, I don't know, these myths don't help me accept it. Or they're like, why are you fighting? Like, why can't you all just distribute the labor evenly and distribute authority evenly? Why do you have to have a hierarchical god king who makes the heavens and the earth by ripping apart his mother, right? Like, they're awful stories. But the fact that they are there, right, at the dawn of history, that these are the stories that we see, I find it quite telling. And it helps me understand why the world is this way. It doesn't necessarily help me accept that the world is this way, but it helps me understand it, and live in it. You know, maybe one day classes will be gone. I don't think so. I think we are fated to live in a stratified world for the rest of human history. Right, when class goes away, history goes away too. But you know, I guess it's a little comforting to know that things haven't changed. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we will continue on. So, spoiler. What happens in this story is that Elia listens to the Igigi, and he's like, "Oh, you're tired of working? Well, you know what we should do? We should just make an even lower class. Let's make a category of being called human, and they can slave away for both the Igigi and the Anunnaki. Won't that be lovely?" Right? And so this is how humans get created in this story. It's like they are designed to be the lowest class of beings. But then, of course, even then, we have the same problem. Oh, the humans, they're making too much noise. I don't like it. Right? The same thing as in the Enuma Elish. Like, those created beings, I created them and I had a nice time making them, right? It was good sex, but now they're just too damn loud. So they would just make a new low. Exactly, Nox. And so they make the humans so that they can continue the labor of the Igigi, and then the humans get too raucous, and so the gods decide to make a flood. And so they make this big flood, but then one of the gods feels guilty about it, and so he goes to one human named Atarhasis and says, "You know what you should do? You should build an ark, because I'm going to make a big flood," or the other gods are going to make a big flood, but I don't like it. I don't like this decision. I don't think executive punishment is a worthy punishment for your offenses. Your offenses are just being our slaves. Anyway, that's what's going to happen in the story. They make people, and then they kill all the people, and then there's a flood, and ba 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 ba. And so it goes. You wish you were me. Well, Chris, I know the feeling. Let me tell you, I'm on TikTok all the time looking at different content creators and thinking, oh, I wish I was as pretty as that one. Oh, I wish I had as many followers as that one, right? Like, the internet is a giant jealousy machine, and every single one of us is caught up in it, and every single one of us is trying to be like somebody else. And it's very human to want to emulate other people we admire. And it's also very toxic. And I don't know what to tell you, because, like, here I am, like, I want you to be like me, right? I want you to want to be like me. That's literally why I'm here, right? I want your praise and adoration, right? I've got a big ego, just like everybody else, but also just recognize the way that the app itself structures your behavior and structures your desire, right? Like, not that it's an illegitimate desire, clearly not, but do recognize it for what it is, and accept the good parts with the bad. How do I get my hair so straight? I don't. This is not straight. I guess it gets a little bit straighter when I don't bathe. I took a shower on yesterday. It's been one day, and my hair is already this frizzy. Mr. Jacob Toe, I built this candle myself. It's made out of a steroid bottle. Oh, and I have to refill it soon. We're almost out of fuel. You see that? It's almost empty. But it still burns quite well. I'll refill it for my next stream. Mr. Jacob Toe, you're really weird. You're really, really weird. I don't know what to think of the things you say. Your hair is literally a rat's nest at this point. Have you have rats living in it? Little cute baby rats? Bacha, that's a great... I love that suggestion. Baby Love, you've met her. I know you have, because you're often in the stream together. Baby Love sent me this candles that she made. I do burn this during the stream sometimes. It smells really nice. Next time your son visits, does your son live in the US? Yeah, send a candle back and have him mail it to me. I will absolutely burn your candles on alive. Absolutely. For sure. Weekend crowd is fun. Yeah, this crowd is a good crowd. You probably wouldn't mind if there were baby rats in your hair. Your son lives in Maryland. Have you always lived in Israel? Or did you immigrate from somewhere else? How much money do I spend a week? I don't know. I actually can't answer that question because I live in an income sharing commune, right? And most of the money that I spend is not for myself. What I can tell you is that we are 8 people living here, and our annual operating budget is approximately $80,000. So that's $10,000 per person per year. And if there's 52 weeks in a year, so you divide 10,000 by 52, what is that? I spend $200 a week? Is that accurate? That would mean that in 5 weeks it's $1,000. And yes, so about $200 a week. Except I probably spend more than that, right? I have more expensive spending habits than some of the people I live with, because I buy cell phones and camera equipments and makeup and performery things. The rest of them are farmers, so they're lower budget. You're from Montreal, Canada. You're in Israel for 11 years. Huh. You've moved around. $153 a week. Well, that's very good that you know that, Ricky. Right? That shows you have good control over your finances. You're a Habs fan. Dr. Punk, what is HAB? Is it mentioned? Is that a team in Maryland? Probably. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about sports ball. Sometimes it makes me feel embarrassed. You've lived on the same island for all your 20 years. And what island is that, right? If you don't mind me asking. Montreal Canadiens hockey team. Ah. Dr. Punk, I really like the way you are. This stream has all different sorts. You're a real good one. Hi, Nishma. How are you? What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to create meaning. The meaning of life is to create more entities capable of perceiving meaning. The meaning of life is to reproduce. The meaning of life is to fuck. I don't know. I mean, those are things that I typically believe, right? Like, I'm an evolutionary pattern, and my purpose here is to repeat myself. But it's up to you to decide, basically. Ricky's bored. Ricky's done with the banter. We can move on. So, I'm not going to read any more of Atarhasis until tomorrow, right? Because we have to we have to pace it out, right? We read 1 or 2 pages a day. But we can move on to Arati. Yes, the meaning of life is to live. Move on to Arati. How do I know I'm an evolutionary pattern or not? Well, I certainly am, right? How did I get here? My parents made me. How did they get here? Their parents made them. How did they get here? Their parents made them. Right? Like, we are all evolutionary patterns. We are all tiny little twigs on the tree of life. Your meaning of life is forest, mushrooms, and expired food. Sure. I would say that is the patina that I put upon my life, right? That's the image that I project outward onto this TikTok channel. I do care about those things. But, and those things remind me that, yes, I am an evolutionary pattern, right? Like, I am a cycle of death and rebirth, right? This pattern that I put on my hand is also inside my entire body. Each one of my cells contains itself in the form of its genetic code. Right? We are recursive patterns at every level. And when I noticed that, that was the strongest root of meaning that I could find. Like, oh, I am an endlessly repeated pattern. Then, all right. I guess I should just continue to be that, right? And try to replicate the pattern that I am. Sometimes, right, that does mean, like, explicit sex. Sometimes it means making TikTok videos. Sometimes it means being kind to the people around me and hoping that that kindness can be reciprocated, right? Is God real? Absolutely, right? If God is an idea, ideas are real. Did God create you? Questionable. Did the concept of God make you who you are? I don't know. Have you been ingrained with certain Yahwistic principles from your childhood? Likely. Right? God is a social construct. And social constructs are very real. It's not letting you send your island name. I don't have many filters on my chat, but sometimes TikTok is just obnoxious. How do I know if I'm an evolutionary pattern or not? That's a great question. The answer is, I know because I know, right? It's a tautology. I'm a pattern because I'm a pattern. If I wasn't a pattern, I wouldn't be able to perceive my pattern nature. It worked in a different format, and yet I didn't see it. No, it's not warm milk. Mr. Jacob Toe, you're a troll, right? You're a nice troll. You're well-meaning, but you're also, like, you're kind of obnoxious. Stealing my attention. I want to say Arati, and here I am, answering your silly little questions. Sorry, I hope you don't mind that I make fun of you, but you kind of make fun of me all the time, so I feel like it's only fair. So, the word Arati means flame in Sanskrit, means light. Dr. Punk is ready for the fire show. Thank you, Dr. Punk. The word Arati means light or flame in Sanskrit. And when we say this prayer, we remind ourselves that yes, we are evolutionary patterns. We are all made of light, right? From the supernovas and distant stars comes the matter that makes us up. Light and matter, they're intertwined. They're made of the same stuff. That's what the physicists have told me, right? And so I can theologize it. We are all connected. We are all made of the same things. Sometimes I go on a different account and do a different personality too. That's like one of the incredible freedoms of the internet. I have other accounts that y'all know nothing about where I'm a completely different person. And that's pretty special. Alright. So, the word Arati means flame in Sanskrit. And the prayer, the repetition of the names of God, goes like this. It did not work right. I'm so sorry. Jaya Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkanta Ramana Venkata Ramana Sankata Harana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Arati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Datachaya Datachaya Trimutri Vatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Saniscaraya Saniscaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gurave Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnudevananda 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 Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jaya Arati Ayapa Swamine Ayapa Swamine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Gurave Moses Gurave Buddha Gurave Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Gurave Guru Nanak Gurave Samastya Gurumno Hamaha Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Natatra Suyobati Natandra Karatam Nema Vidyobati Kutoi Magni Tomeva Bandamana Bandi Sarvam Tasya Pasya Samidam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamune Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Sirika Verviya Namastitam Namo Namaha Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva bandusha saka tvameva. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva. Buddhyatmana vak prakriti sabhavad. Karomi adyad mangalam parasmahi. Narayana iti sarmar payami. Sarvadharmam pravichaya mamakam sarvadambija. Aham sva sarvapapayo mokshaya mima sucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these I dedicate to you. To all of you, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's a linguistic puzzle happening in the chat, and I was trying to follow it while I was saying the Sanskrit words, and I stumbled. It's pronounced abegwit. Abegwit. Looks like epic with it. Why is TikTok censoring that? Epekwitke. So that sounds like a North American indigenous name. Are you on one of the islands off the west coast of Canada? No, you don't need to feel guilty, Dr. Punk, right? Like, it's TikTok. If no one talked through the prayers, then no one would be here. I want to know the name of this island now. A big twit. TikTok is being rude today. I mean, I must assume that it's like a small island off the coast of Victoria Island or something like that. But maybe I know nothing. I suppose I could look it up. You could let me know. Yes, Batya. We can say that Edward Sharp prayer. East Coast. Mi'kmaq territory. East Coast of North America, not the West Coast. Interesting. I'm going to look that up, because now I'm just really curious, and I won't look it up if I don't pronounce Abegwit. Mi'kmaq. Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Patrons... What? What? Now you're pushing me down a hole. Canadians east in New Brunswick. Oh! Far northeast. Located in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, Newfoundland, and Maine, and the Boston area. Very interesting. It's good to use indigenous names. It's important. Thank you, Beck. I appreciate that. I worked very hard to have a voice that sounded like this. Took a lot of practice. Josh Christ. Joshua Giraffe. I did not know that your name was Joshua. I will try to remember that. Dr. Punk is a more interesting name. So, Edward Sharp is this American folk rock band, right? Pop, folk, rock. I don't know what genre to call them in. They're American. And they took this spin on what musically is just like a traditional Protestant Christian spiritual. And I heard this prayer a long time ago, and yeah, it absolutely spoke to me. Like, I think it's the proper theological response to the spiritual crises of our era. Whatever that means. That sounds so pretentious when I say it. What I mean is that, like, we live in a globalized world where we have access to all of these different traditions and also access to the history of violence caused by these different traditions. And yet somehow we have to live with it, right? And we have to have some kind of relationship to the infinite. Otherwise, we don't know what we're doing here. So I like this prayer quite a lot, and I do appreciate the request. If I had a larger retinue, I would take more song requests. One of these days, when I'm not a graduate student, I'm not writing papers about mushrooms, I will learn more songs and I will sing them to you, because I really enjoy it. But until then, we can repeat this one over and over, and build meaning into it every time we repeat it. But I don't want to pray to my maker, no, I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink and golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. And it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins. So I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah, God made. But I don't want to pray to my Maker, I just want to be what I see. Not like in a book, or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. Hashem, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah, God made me. I'm sorry you were bit by a snake. Hopefully it wasn't poisonous. Hopefully it was a rather profound experience. Yes, inclusive prayers are the important ones. Much better than those exclusive prayers. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam shelo ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who did not make me a woman. I had to do that myself. It's not a very good prayer. Sometimes I say it, though, because it's very ironic. Baruch atah Asherah, Anat Malacha Ha'olam, Asher Yitzaret Ha'adam B'chachama Uvera Ve'o. Blessed are you, Queen of Heaven, Asherah Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. That one's a little better. So, we will conclude with one more Hebrew prayer. The mourner's Kaddish. The word Kaddish means prayer, or holy, in Hebrew. And it's a prayer of mourning. This prayer is said after using the bathroom, yes. Yeah, and I have reinterpreted it to be a prayer of gender affirmation, in the same way that that other prayer is a prayer of gender denial. You know, we can take the tradition that we've inherited and we can make it mean what we want it to mean. That's pretty cool. You're very welcome, Pick. I'm glad you're here. So, I'm gonna say Kaddish. Pray for the food gods. Dump raw. I don't actually say prayers to dump raw very often. And often when I go dumpstering, people say like, well, will you ask dump raw for this or that? Will you ask dump raw for chocolate? Like, you know, I suppose I spend more immediate time in dump raw's domain than any other god. But I don't often pray for good food quite explicitly. I don't pray for things. I pray for self-knowledge, or in this case, to let go, right? That's what the Kaddish is for me, that the way that I have been interpreting it and understanding it as I've been saying it to you these past months. It's to let go of a version of myself that I no longer wish to be. To let go of attachments to people that I no longer wish to have. Attachments to people and to places and to things. Prayer to release them, to lose them, and to grieve them. So if there's anything that you are grieving, anything that you are mourning, please feel free to put it in the chat. Let us know. And we can say Kaddish together. Kaddish for Dumpra, who always dies and is reborn with every trash cycle. Just like the snake that eats its tail. See, I'm very consistent. It's theology. It's weird, but it's consistent. Kaddish goes like this. Yid Gadal, Vid Kadash, Shema Rabba. Biama Divrach Yote Viamlich Mal Kute, Bechayachon of Yomechon of Chayede Kolbe Israel, Bagala Visman Kari Vimru. Amen. Yehe Shema Rabba Mevarach Lelam Almei Almaya, Yid Barach Vishtabach Vit Baar Vit Urmam Vit Nase, Vitadar Vitale Vitalal Shema de Kudesha Barichu, Leela Min Kolber Chata Vishirata Tush Bechata Venechimata, Diamiran Biama Vimru. Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya Vechayim Aleni Viachol Yisrael Vimru. Amen. O se shalom v'mermav, huya ase shalom, aleinu v'yachol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. O se shalom v'mermav, huya ase shalom aleinu, v'yalechol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you here sometime soon. Not tomorrow. Can't stream here tomorrow. But, Monday. I'll see you here on Monday to say these words once more. And we can be together once more. You're very welcome, Rai. Thanks for staying the entire time. It's really nice. It's nice to have so many people here to chat with. Yeah, it's been more than a year, Paige. I haven't really added any new moderators, because like a year ago the stream was much larger, right? There was more of a need for moderators. And then I took a break, right? I had to finish that grant. I got sad. Dr. Punk, do you want to be a moderator? I can make you a moderator. Can I do that right now? I probably can. But like it's just not as necessary. Add moderator. Confirm. Great, you're a moderator now. Yeah, having moderators is not as needed anymore. I don't have as many trolls, or like the trolls that I do have are like Mr. Toe here, who's good meaning, just like strange. Yeah, the heady days of gaining 100,000 followers a month are long gone. I will never have that kind of channel growth again, which does make me sad, right? Because like a year ago I thought I might have a career on TikTok, and I no longer think that anymore, right? I do this TikTok work because I find it fulfilling, but I can't make a living off of it. I mean, it's, the stream is different, and in many ways it is more emotionally fulfilling. Like, I had to think to myself, like, why am I actually doing this work? Because it stopped being profitable. And it turns out that there are other reasons to do work other than profit, you know? So I continue to stream, I continue to make TikTok videos, but I no longer do so with the expectation that I will be able to base my career off of those things, even though for a decade now I've been making content on social media, trying to find an audience that would support me enough such that I could be an artist full-time. And I'm still trying, right? But I no longer hold that expectation of you all, or of TikTok in general, right? Like, I do have a Patreon, but it's tiny. Yeah, in order to actually be supported on TikTok, I would need to have an audience that was an order of magnitude larger, than what is currently here. But what's here is really nice. A safe mutual? Happy I found your page and in that a safe mutual. Yeah, absolutely, right? Like, and there's some really cool things about TikTok, right? Like, I get to make other creator friends like Rai, and like, it's worth my time. But it does not solve the financial problem, which is okay. I have other ways of solving the financial problem. I have a job, work at a university. It's all right. It's better than many jobs I could have. And I have to go do that job now. I have to finish up a paper so that I can graduate and blah, 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 and get up another job. And, you know, the world is full of resource lack. So we do what we do. But, yeah, I would be spending this time with you all. Yeah, you make 5 cents a live. Dr. Punk here makes sure that I make like $2 a live. And that's nice. Thank you, Dr. Punk. $2 an hour is a great living wage. But yeah, it's okay. I would be doing this. Clearly, I am doing this regardless of how much money I'm making, because you folks are emotionally supportive, right? Like, having this community is extraordinarily valuable to me. And so I'm really glad to be here and really glad to share this space with you all. And with that, I am going to go and do my other work. But yeah, thank you, Paige, for being here with me for an entire year. That's so incredible. And hopefully for many years to come. I hope you have a lovely day and that you feel better tomorrow. Farewell.